Max Verstappen held off Lewis Hamilton to claim a maiden Australian Grand Prix victory after a chaotic race where finished with a processional safety car following a wild late restart. Verstappen looked to be cruising to a comfortable win, having reclaimed the lead after losing out to George Russell and Lewis Hamilton during a frantic opening, but Kevin Magnussen's crash and an ensuing second red flag of the race and set up a two-lap sprint from the standing start. The reigning world champion stayed in front of Hamilton off the line before a crash between third place Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz behind and set off a series of collisions with Alpine teammates Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon taking each other out from point scoring positions. A third red flag followed with further confusion and controversy as there was a long wait before the FIA decided to restore the order from the previous restart to complete the one remaining lap behind the safety car. Behind the cars had not made it far enough around the track for the updated classification to be confirmed before the red flag came out. A post-race appeal from Haas on the issue was dismissed several hours after the race. That meant that Alonso returned to third, where the 41-year-old had finished in the first three races of the season for Aston Martin, but Sainz was allowed to have a say, so his 5-second penalty for causing the collision saw him relegated to being last of the 12 cars that finished, leaving Ferrari pointless after Leclerc's first lap retirement. More than 2.5 hours though after the race had begun, Verstappen was left to take the checker flag unchallenged and complete his second win in 3 races, while Hamilton secured his first podium of the campaign. We had a very poor start, and after that one I was careful because I had a lot to lose after they had a lot to win, says Verstappen. After that, the pace of the car was quick. You can see that straight away. We were always there waiting for DRS for the chance to pass, but with these red flags, I don't know. The first one maybe you could do it, but the second one I don't understand. So it was a bit of a mess, but we survived everything and we won, which of course is the most important thing. Russell, who had given up the lead when pitting under safety car conditions, not expecting the red flag that followed, and when Alex Albon crashed out on lap 7, retired on lap 18 after a technical failure, while Lance Stroll sealed a fourth behind teammate Fernando Alonso, and a strong points haul for Aston Martin, while Sergio Perez produced a solid recovery drive after a disastrous Saturday to come fifth after starting from the pit lane at the back of the field. Lando Norris drove a brilliant race to finish 6th as McLaren scored their first points of the season, with rookie teammate Oscar Piastri benefiting from the late chaos to claim his first points by coming home in 8th. Nico Hulkenberg kept a strong weekend for 7th with the Haas, while Alfa Romeo, Zhou Guanyu and Yuki Tsunoda AlphaTauri also received late promotions to round out the points. Verstappen, who is now seeking his third successive world title, has won 16 of the last 22 races, moves 15 clear of Perez, who took an extra point faster lap, and Red Bull lead Aston Martin by 58 in the constructors. But after a hugely entertaining quali on Saturday had seen Mercedes emerge from their early season struggles to challenge Verstappen for pole in a cool and windy conditions, there were fears that the race taking place under bright sunshine would be unable to provide a match. That theory was disproven as early as the first corner, as Russell got off the line brilliantly to pass Verstappen into the first corner before Hamilton followed his teammate through at turn 3. Before Verstappen could attempt to fire back, a first safety car of the race was sent out, with Stroll and Leclerc, who had started in 6th and 7th, made contact behind the leaders at turn 3, sending last year's Melbourne winner into the gravel trap and out of the race. Russell held off Hamilton, who was closely followed by Verstappen at the rolling restart before the safety car returned on lap 7 as Albon crashed into the barrier and spinning at turn 7. Russell looks to take advantage by swapping his medium tyre for a set of hard compounds that he hoped to take him to the end of the race, but the decision backfired as moments later in a red flag wave, giving Hamilton and Verstappen a chance to change their tyres for the loss of no time, and the cars gathered in the pit lane. Russell resumed in 7th, while Sainz, who got past Alonso at the start, did the same and dropped to 11th. Hamilton was able to beat Verstappen to the first corner at the standing start that follows a red flag, but once DRS was enabled 2 laps later, the 7-time world champion was powerless to prevent his great rival from easing into the lead at Long Straight approaching turn 9. Russell had out-qualified Hamilton for the 3rd time in as many races, continued his impressive form by quickly passing Hulkenberg, Stroll and Gasly to get back up to 4th, but then was forced to pull over to the home straight after an issue with his PU saw the back of his W14 catch fire. A virtual safety car followed with a race interrupted for a 3rd time in the opening 18 laps that provided more entertainment and drama than more than the entire races would have done in the past. It became clear that either side of the virtual safety car that Hamilton's main battle was holding off Alonso for 2nd, with Verstappen easily opening up a gap out front. Sainz was impressively fall back through the field to move up to 4th, while Perez eventually advanced to 7th before being surprisingly held up by Norris for a significant period. An exciting finale between Hamilton and Alonso looked set to ensue, with the Aston trying to close within DRS range, while Verstappen provided a moment of drama as he ran wide onto the grass at the final corner with 10 laps remaining, but he still looked to be cruising to victory with a lead of more than 7 seconds. However, Magnussen hit the wall on the exit at turn 2, leaving a wheel rim on the track, and once more a safety car was sent out before a FIA from another red flag, which Verstappen questioned the merits of both during and after the race. As the driver made their way back to the pits lane one more time, it was suddenly apparent that Verstappen and Hamilton would be lining up for a 2-lap sprint to the finish from a standing start, triggering memories of the controversial climax of the 2021 season when the Dutchman clinched his title, ironically with Michael Massey in attendance this weekend. Hamilton got a better start than Verstappen once more, but the Dutchman got across the track quickly enough to cut the Mercedes from holding the lead into the first corner. However, any further sparring between the pair was prevented as chaos ensued behind when Sainz ran his compatriot Alonso. It was the contact behind him that caused the red flag, though, with Gasly, who went off track at the first corner along with Perez, making his way back onto the tarmac and forcing the Alpine teammate Ocon right until they made contact and both slammed into the barrier. Further back, Williams lost their other car as rookie Logan Sargent ran into the back of Nick De Vries' AlphaTauri. With the Alpine, Sargent and De Vries forced to retire, Alonso and Sainz made it back to the pits before their debate began over what happened with the one lap of the race remaining. After a lengthy delay, the decision was made to return to the circuit in the pre-restart order was made before confirmation of Sainz's 5-second penalty came through, leading the Ferrari driver to express his extreme frustration on the team radio. Those behind Sainz ensured that they stayed on his tail on the final circuit, which has taken behind the safety car until it pulled in at the last corner, with each of the 8 cars trailing the Spaniard managing to stay within 5 seconds, requiring him to leapfrog him. Ahead, Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso all appeared satisfied to have ended a challenging afternoon on the podium, with the trio showing respectful exchanges after exiting their cars. To get those points is really amazing today, said Hamilton. I definitely didn't expect to be second, so I'm super grateful for it. I still feel uncomfortable in the car. I don't feel connected to it, so I'm driving the best I can with that disconnect, and I'm working as hard as I can to try and create and connect, but it's a long project. But still, considering where we've been down on performances and the straight line pace compared to Red Bulls, for us to be up here fighting with the Aston, it's just amazing at this point of the season. But due to the cancellation of the Chinese Grand Prix, there's now a 4-week break for F1, with the season resuming in 4 weeks at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku Street Circuit with a street weekend. So yeah, long break without F1, but yeah, we're going to have a memorable 2 laps to live off before then. Before I go, let me run you through the final classification from the race. Verstappen winning, of course, good drive from Verstappen, assured confidence. So many things could have prevented him here, but he responded well. And yeah, Hamilton, great drive as well, tailed off Alonso in probably what was a slower car. And yeah, keeps calling in the end. And yeah, big result for him. That should give him some confidence. Alonso in third. Yeah, good drive from him. Obviously, it seemed like it may have been a disastrous ending for him, but thankfully for him it didn't end that way. So yeah, great point for Aston Martin was showing fourth, and they'll be super happy with that, even if they couldn't get Hamilton. Perez in fifth, yeah, did get stuck behind Norris for a bit, which was weird, but still a good drive to go from last to fifth. Not quite the podium maybe he was hoping for, but yeah, still a good recovery. Norris in sixth and Piastri in eighth, huge for McLaren to get their first points. I think they'll be happy with that, no matter how they came. And up to fifth in the constructors remarkably. Hulkenberg in seventh, brilliant drive from him to get into the points, and yeah, it looked like it could have been maybe a podium with Sainz's penalty had they not got back in the order. That would be incredible, but there we go. Zhou in ninth and Snowden in 10th. Good job from both of them to get points in cars that maybe aren't as competitive. Yeah, great job from them. Bottas in 11th will be frustrated to just miss out, and Sainz in 12th, yeah, fuming, but at the same time I think what his crash with Alonso probably did merit a apparent penalty, and yeah, that's just how racing goes sometimes, so it's frustrating, but yeah, still, Gasly and Ocon. Gasly as well, especially because he drove an incredible race there, competing with the top 4 cars, so he'll be absolutely devastated with that. Just kind of nothing you could really do about it, I think. Yeah, barely even saw him. Ocon, frustrating thing, it's always obviously a passenger. Sargent at the end, yeah, not great pace from him, and a really poor mistake at the end, going into back of De Vries. Not much De Vries could have done, but yeah, for both of these rookies at the moment, pace maybe not quite there, but still rookies. Let's give them some races. Magnussen in 17th. Frustrated they've him outperformed by his team, and obviously that crash at the end. So yeah, a bit of a disappointing weekend for K-Mag, you have to say. Russell, yeah, he's had the pace, but just everything that could have gone wrong could go wrong. Albon, yeah, I'm gutted for him because that Williams looked like it really could have got some solid pace there. It was rapid, so hugely frustrating for him. And Leclerc, his just disastrous season continued so far, really. But anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, no sorts, comment down, and for daily F1 news and subscribe to the channel, I greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.